The massive screen in Earth's United Defense Force headquarters flickered to life, displaying a message that would change human history forever. Admiral James Walker stood frozen, his coffee cup halfway to his lips, as he read the simple text. Greetings, primitive species. Prepare for integration. The message had come from beyond Jupiter's orbit, transmitted in perfect English and every major Earth language simultaneously. Within minutes, similar reports flooded in from military bases worldwide. The aliens hadn't just sent a message, they had cracked every human communication system with embarrassing ease. "Get me the UN Secretary General," Walker ordered, his voice steady despite the chaos erupting around him. "And someone wake up the president. We're going to need everyone for this." The next 48 hours passed in a blur of emergency meetings, panicked calls, and heated debates. Then, exactly 2 days after the first message, they arrived. The Empire's ship appeared just beyond the moon's orbit, a vessel so large it could have housed several major cities. From this mothership came a smaller craft, elegant and silvery, heading straight for the hastily prepared landing zone outside New York. The world watched through countless cameras as humanity prepared for its first alien encounter. Ambassador Marcus, as he called himself, looked almost human, too human, some would later say. He stepped out of his ship wearing what appeared to be a perfectly tailored Earth business suit, his only alien features being his slightly purple-tinted skin and eyes that seemed to reflect light like a cat's. "Your species has progressed adequately," Marcus announced to the gathered world leaders, his voice carrying a strange musical quality. "The Galactic Empire has deemed Earth suitable for integration. Resistance is unnecessary and would only result in unfortunate losses." The UN Security Council chamber had never been so quiet. Representatives from every nation sat in stunned silence as Marcus displayed a holographic map of the Empire. Countless stars and systems, all under one rule. Earth's solar system appeared as just a tiny dot on the edge of this vast territory. "We offer civilization," Marcus continued, his cat-like eyes scanning the room. "Order. Progress. The Empire has unified thousands of species under our banner. Your technology is primitive, your society's fragmented. We can help you advance centuries within decades." Admiral Walker, seated between the Chinese and Russian representatives, noticed something odd. Despite Marcus's claims of Earth's primitive status, the ambassador kept glancing at their phones, tablets, and computers with what looked like genuine curiosity. "And if we decline this generous offer?" Walker asked, drawing surprised looks from his colleagues. Marcus turned to him, and for a split second, Walker saw something like amusement cross the alien's features. "Admiral Walker," Marcus said, "one does not simply decline the Empire. You have 2 standard Earth months to prepare for integration. We will send evaluation teams to assess your world and begin the process. This is not a negotiation. It is a courtesy notice." As Marcus left the chamber, Walker exchanged glances with Dr. Anna Miller, Earth's leading quantum physicist who had been invited as a scientific advisor. She gave him a subtle nod. She'd noticed it too. Despite their advanced technology, the Empire representatives seemed oddly interested in certain aspects of Earth's primitive technology. Later that night, in a secure underground facility, Walker met with a small group of military and scientific leaders from various nations. "They're overconfident," Dr. Miller said, pulling up data from the day's encounters. "Their technology is incredibly advanced, but it's all the same," Walker finished. "Every piece of their equipment, every system we've detected, it's all standardized. No variation, no adaptation." General William Stone of the UN Military Coordination nodded grimly. "They've given us 2 months, thinking we'll just roll over and accept their rule." He looked around the room. "I say we show them why humans are known for being stubborn." Walker stood up, his decision made. "Send the word out. Quietly. Every nation, every military force, every scientific institution. For the next 2 months, we make them believe we're accepting their generous offer." He smiled, but there was steel in his expression. Meanwhile, we'll show them why it's a bad idea to underestimate Earth. Outside, the Empire's ship hung in orbit like a sword over humanity's head. But for the first time in history, every nation on Earth was about to work together toward a single goal, proving that humans were anything but primitive. The Empire's evaluation team arrived in 3 sleek ships, each landing in a different continent. Dr. Anna Miller watched from her lab as one touched down outside the research facility, its surface gleaming under the morning sun. She quickly hid her latest quantum computing calculations under a stack of basic physics textbooks. "Remember," she told her team, "we're just simple scientists trying to understand their advanced technology." The words had barely left her mouth when the lab doors slid open. 2 Empire evaluators walked in, their purple-tinted skin almost glowing under the fluorescent lights. They carried devices that looked like tablets but were as thin as paper. The taller one spoke first. "I am Inspector Tom." He had chosen an Earth name, like Ambassador Marcus. "This is my associate, Inspector Ray." Dr. Miller put on her best look of awe and wonder. "Welcome to our humble facility," she said, gesturing to the intentionally messy lab. "We're so excited to learn from your advanced civilization." The inspectors moved through the lab, scanning everything with their devices. They barely glanced at the quantum computers, which had been disguised as ordinary servers with cooling problems, hence the extra equipment around them. Instead, they seemed fascinated by an old desktop computer running Windows. "Your binary computing systems are interesting," Inspector Ray said, peering at the screen. "Quite primitive, but functional." Dr. Miller bit back a smile. The primitive computer was actually connected to a quantum processor hidden in the walls, running calculations that would have taken their standardized systems years to complete. Across the globe, similar scenes played out. The Empire's evaluation teams visited military bases, where Commander Robert Thompson showed them Earth's best weapons, carefully selected older models that had been polished to look well maintained. The real advanced weapons were hidden in underground facilities, getting upgrades based on what they learned from scanning the Empire's technology. In space, Admiral Walker led a tour of Earth's orbital defense stations. The Empire inspectors smiled condescendingly at the simple missile systems, not realizing that each missile housed adaptive AI cores that were learning from every scan the Empire performed. "Your species shows promise," Inspector Tom told Dr. Miller at the end of the first week. "With proper guidance, you might advance to spacefaring status within a century." "That's so encouraging," Dr. Miller replied, while behind her, one of her team members quietly uploaded a virus into the inspector's scanning device. The virus wouldn't do anything, yet it would just hide in their systems, gathering data and waiting. During the 3rd week of evaluation, General Stone met with Admiral Walker in a secure underground room. "The reports are better than we hoped," Stone said, spreading out papers on the table. "Their entire empire runs on standardized technology. Every ship, every weapon, every computer, all identical. Their strength is their weakness." Walker nodded. "They're so used to being the most advanced species that they've stopped innovating. Their technology is incredibly advanced, but it hasn't changed in centuries. And they've given us access to all of it," Dr. Miller added, joining them. She placed a small device on the table, a perfect copy of an Empire communicator, but with one crucial difference. "Ours adapts, evolves. They think we're studying their tech to learn. They don't realize we're learning how to beat it." The door opened, and Commander Thompson rushed in. "You need to see this," he said, pulling up a video on his tablet. It showed an Empire ship easily destroying an asteroid. "They're showing off their weapons, trying to intimidate us." "Did you notice?" Dr. Miller asked, replaying the video. "Their weapons have a pattern, a rhythm. They're so standardized that they're predictable." Admiral Walker stood up, looking at the data they'd gathered. In just 3 weeks, humanity had learned more about advanced technology than they had in decades, and the Empire had no idea. "Send word to all teams," he ordered. Continue playing nice. Continue looking impressed. And continue preparing. He picked up the modified communicator. They think they're assessing us for weakness. Instead, they're giving us everything we need to defend ourselves. Above them, Empire ships continued their patrols, their crews confident in their superiority. None of them noticed that with each scan, each demonstration, each condescending explanation, humanity was quietly building something they'd never expected. A defense system that could adapt and evolve faster than their rigid, standardized empire could handle. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a facility that didn't officially exist, Commander Robert Thompson walked through rows of strange-looking machines. Each one was a hybrid of Earth technology and reversed-engineered Empire systems. They called this place the workshop, and it was just one of 50 similar facilities scattered around the world. Project Sanctuary is ahead of schedule, he told Admiral Walker, who had just arrived through a secret entrance. Every nation is contributing something unique. The Chinese quantum teams made a breakthrough last night. Walker nodded, watching as scientists from 24 countries worked together on what looked like a smaller version of an Empire ship's engine. Any problems with security? The Empire's evaluators are still focused on our surface facilities, Thompson replied with a slight smile. They're so convinced of our primitive status that they're not even looking for underground bases. In her lab on the other side of the facility, Dr. Miller was examining data from their latest test. The holographic display showed a simulation of Empire weapons firing at Earth's new adaptive shields. Each time the shields were hit, they changed frequency and pattern, making the next hit less effective. They rely too much on their standardized technology, she explained to a group of international scientists. Every weapon they have fires the same way, using the same energy signature. Once you know the pattern, you can predict and counter it. Finish, Dr. Jones, a British physicist. He pointed to a section of code scrolling across a screen. Our quantum systems can calculate their attack patterns faster than they can fire. Each defense makes the next one stronger. Above ground, Earth continued its active submission. Military bases openly displayed their older weapons for Empire inspection. Universities presented basic research projects for review. Government officials attended Empire orientation sessions about their future role in the galactic community. But underground, humanity was building something unprecedented. In Japan, engineers had created nanobots that could repair battle damage by learning from each hit. Brazilian scientists had developed AI systems that could predict Empire ship movements with 99% accuracy. Indian programmers had written viruses that could spread through the Empire's standardized networks like wildfire. We're calling it the Hyper Network, Commander Thompson explained, leading Walker to a massive control room. Screens covered every wall, showing real-time data from defense systems around the world. Cut off one head, 2 more take its place. Every piece operates independently, but they can all work together instantly. How many backup systems? Walker asked, watching as technicians ran combat simulations. All of them, Thompson grinned. Every system backs up every other system. If they take out 90% of our defenses, the remaining 10% can rebuild everything. No central control point, no way to shut it all down at once. The Empire's evaluation period was almost over. Their ships still orbited Earth, their crews writing reports about the primitive but promising species they'd found. They never noticed the tiny changes in their own systems, the microscopic infiltrators that had been studying and copying their technology. In a secure meeting room, Earth's leaders gathered to review their progress. General Stone stood at the front, pointing to a world map marked with hidden facilities and defense systems. The Empire expects us to hand over control of our military in 3 days, he said. They think we'll be grateful for their guidance. Instead, they've given us everything we need to show them why Earth isn't ready for integration. Dr. Miller pulled up a display showing their adaptive defense grid. The moment they realize we're not surrendering, they'll attack with everything they have. Their weapons are powerful, but predictable. Every simulation shows the same thing. They'll follow their standard invasion protocols. And we'll be ready for every move. Commander Thompson added, our systems are designed to adapt to anything they throw at us. The more they attack, the stronger we become. Walker finished. He looked around the room at the leaders of Earth's nations, all united for the first time in human history. They think we're primitive because we're different from each other, because we don't all use the same technology and tactics. They don't understand that our differences are our strength. As the meeting ended, alerts showed another Empire ship entering orbit. They were bringing more forces for the integration, preparing to add Earth to their collection of conquered worlds. They had no idea they were about to face something they'd never encountered before, a species that had turned diversity and adaptation into the ultimate weapon. The day of integration arrived with a blood-red sunrise. Empire ships filled Earth's orbit, their massive forms blocking out the stars. Ambassador Marcus stood before the United Nations, his cat-like eyes gleaming with satisfaction. Your evaluation period is complete, he announced. Earth will now be formally integrated into the Empire. Please surrender control of your military and governmental systems. Admiral Walker stood up from his seat, straightening his uniform. I'm afraid we have to decline. Marcus blinked, his perfect composure slipping for a moment. Perhaps I wasn't clear. Admiral, this isn't a request. Our ships are in position. Resistance would be. He paused, looking down at his communicator, which had suddenly stopped working. Having technical difficulties? Dr. Miller asked innocently from her seat. All around the room, Empire devices were going dark. That's strange. Our primitive technology seems to be working just fine. Outside, Empire ships started reporting system malfunctions. Their standardized networks, used across thousands of worlds, were being invaded by something they'd never seen before. Adaptive viruses that evolved faster than their security could respond. What have you done? Marcus demanded, his musical voice cracking. Walker smiled. We've learned. Adapted. Every scan you made of our primitive world, every demonstration of your superior technology, we were studying you right back. On screens around the chamber, footage appeared showing Empire ships trying and failing to maintain position. Their standardized navigation systems had been compromised, their weapons wouldn't respond, and their communications were filled with static. Impossible, Marcus whispered. Your technology is centuries behind ours. Wrong, Dr. Miller said, standing. Our technology is different from yours. You've spent centuries making everything the same, creating perfect, unchanging systems. We built something that changes, adapts, evolves. Commander Thompson's voice came over the speakers. Admiral, they're preparing to launch fighters. Standard attack pattern, just like we predicted. Show them what Earth can do, Walker ordered. Above the planet, hidden defense satellites activated. But these weren't the primitive weapons the Empire had seen during their evaluation. These were hybrid systems, combining Earth's adaptive technology with reversed-engineered Empire weapons. The first wave of Empire fighters launched, following their standard invasion protocols. They never had a chance. Earth's defenses predicted their every move, adapting and strengthening with each attack they deflected. This is your final warning, Walker announced, not just to the UN chamber, but to every Empire ship in orbit. Earth is not joining your empire. Leave our solar system, or we'll be forced to demonstrate more of our capabilities. Marcus reached for his emergency teleporter, but it didn't work. Nothing worked. You're making a mistake, he said. The Empire has never been defeated. We have ships across thousands of systems. Ships that all use the same technology, the same protocols, the same weaknesses, Dr. Miller replied. Every weapon you fire at us makes our defenses stronger. Every ship you send teaches us more about how to beat you. In orbit, an Empire dreadnought decided to show these primitives their true power. It fired its main cannon, a weapon that could crack a moon. The beam headed straight for North America and vanished into an adaptive shield that absorbed its energy and grew stronger. Return fire, Walker commanded. Non-lethal demonstration only. Earth's new defense grid activated. Beams of energy shot from hidden satellites, targeting the Empire ship's engines with surgical precision. The massive vessels found themselves unable to maintain orbit, their standardized systems overwhelmed by attacks that changed faster than they could respond to. Impossible, Marcus repeated, watching his mighty Empire's ships being systematically disabled by a world they'd considered primitive. No, Walker corrected him. Inevitable. You thought our diversity was weakness, our differences were primitive. You didn't realize that adapting, changing, evolving, these are what make humanity strong. The Emperor's dreadnought, pride of the fleet, drifted powerless in orbit, its systems shut down by viruses it couldn't fight. And this was just the beginning. Humanity had shown only a fraction of what they'd built during those 2 months of preparation. In the Empire's first real defeat in centuries, they were about to learn why it was a bad idea to underestimate Earth. The Empire's response came 3 days later. Over 500 warships appeared at the edge of the solar system, the largest invasion fleet ever assembled. Their arrival darkened Jupiter's skies as they gathered for the attack. They're angry, Commander Thompson said, watching the feeds in Earth's main defense center. They've never failed to conquer a planet before. Now they're bringing enough firepower to destroy a solar system. Admiral Walker stood calmly, studying the tactical displays. They're following their standard response to resistance, exactly as we predicted. He turned to Dr. Miller. Are the systems ready? Better than ready, she replied, fingers dancing across her control panel. Every defense satellite has been upgraded with data from our first encounter. The Hydra network has evolved beyond our original designs. The Empire fleet moved in perfect formation, their ships arranged in the same attack pattern they'd used to conquer 1,000 worlds. Their first wave launched, 10,000 fighters moving as one. Here they come, General Stone announced. All stations, execute Operation Chameleon. Earth's response was unlike anything the Empire had ever seen. Instead of firing back, Earth's defensive grid seemed to disappear. The Empire fighter's sensors couldn't detect a single defense system. Clever tricks won't save you, the Empire fleet commander transmitted. Surrender now, and we might spare your major cities. Walker smiled. You still don't understand what you're facing. He pressed a button on his command console. Show them. The Earth's atmosphere itself seemed to come alive. Millions of nanobots, previously invisible, formed into massive defense screens. Every Empire weapon fired was not just blocked. It was absorbed, analyzed, and countered. Impossible. The Empire commander shouted as his first wave of fighters found themselves trapped in electromagnetic nets that adapted to their every escape attempt. Dr. Miller's voice was calm as she explained to the stunned Empire forces. Your standardized technology is predictable. Every move you make, every weapon you fire, every tactic you use. We've already calculated thousands of possible counters. The second wave of Empire ships launched their planet-killer weapons, enough firepower to crack Earth's crust. But Earth was ready. The Hydra network activated its most advanced defense yet. Quantum-powered shields appeared, each one learning and evolving from every hit. The more the Empire attacked, the stronger Earth's defenses became. Their mighty weapons, unchanged for centuries, couldn't penetrate defenses that evolved by the second. All ships, launch maximum attack. The Empire commander ordered in desperation. Use every weapon we have. That's exactly what we wanted, Commander Thompson said quietly. As the Empire ships fired everything they had, Dr. Miller activated their secret weapon. The virus they'd planted during the evaluation period sprang to life. It spread through the Empire's standardized networks like wildfire, jumping from ship to ship. Their identical systems, once their greatest strength, became their greatest weakness. On every Empire ship, screens displayed the same message. Thank you for helping Earth's defense systems evolve. Your contribution to our technological advancement is appreciated. One by one, Empire ships lost power. Their weapons went dark, their engines failed, their mighty technology defeated by a species they'd considered primitive just days ago. "This is Earth's final warning," Admiral Walker transmitted to the powerless Empire fleet. "We don't want your war. We don't want your empire. We just want to be left alone." In the Defense Center, Dr. Miller showed the gathered leaders a surprising discovery. "Look at these readings," she said. "Other species in the Empire fleet. Their systems are different. They've been forced to standardize, to abandon their own technological development." "Send them a message," Walker ordered. "Tell them they have a choice now. They can stay with their failing empire, or they can remember who they were before. Free species with their own unique ways of advancing." As Earth's message spread through the fleet, something unexpected happened. Ships began powering up again, but not to fight. One by one, vessels crewed by different species broke formation, turning away from the Empire command. The Empire's perfect formation, maintained across galaxies for centuries, was breaking apart. And it had all started because they'd underestimated one small blue planet that refused to surrender its uniqueness. News of Earth's victory spread across the galaxy faster than the Empire could contain it. On 1,000 worlds, species that had lived under Empire control for centuries began questioning their rulers. The spark of rebellion that started at Earth had become a galaxy-wide flame. Admiral Walker stood in the newly constructed Galactic Communications Center in Geneva, watching reports flood in from across the stars. Each screen showed a different world, a different species, all inspired by Earth's successful resistance. "The Empire's control is breaking down everywhere," Commander Thompson reported, pointing to a holographic map showing systems turning from Empire red to independent blue. "Their standardized communication network is working against them. They can't stop the news from spreading." Ambassador Marcus, who had chosen to stay on Earth after the battle, walked into the center. His perfect composure was gone, replaced by a look of wonder. "I just received word from my homeworld," he said. "They're declaring independence from the Empire. And they're not alone." Dr. Miller looked up from her data screens. "The virus we released didn't just affect their military systems," she explained. "It showed every world in the Empire that their technology could be different, could evolve. We gave them back their ability to innovate." On the main screen, they watched as the Centauri species, once the Empire's most loyal servants, announced their separation. Their ships, already modified with Earth-inspired adaptive technology, easily defended against Empire retaliation. "We're receiving thousands of diplomatic requests," General Stone said, scrolling through messages. "Everyone wants to know how we did it, how we maintained our independence and technological growth." "They don't just want our technology," Walker realized. "They want to remember how to create their own. The Empire didn't just standardize their machines. They standardized thinking itself." In response to the growing crisis, the Empire's ruling council announced emergency measures. But their threats fell on deaf ears. Every attempt to regain control just showed more worlds how weak the Empire had become without its technological edge. "Look at this," Dr. Miller called out, displaying data from their long-range sensors. Empire ships were changing. Some species had already begun modifying their vessels, breaking away from the standard designs. They're remembering who they were before the Empire. Each species had its own way of advancing, its own path of innovation. Ambassador Marcus stepped forward. "I need to make a confession," he said, his voice heavy with emotion. "Many of us in the Empire's diplomatic corps have been waiting for this moment. We saw how our civilization stagnated, how we traded progress for control. Earth didn't just resist us. You showed us another way." The communications center erupted with a new alert. The Proxima system, home to 3 different species, had declared itself a free federation. They were inviting other independent worlds to join them, creating something new. An alliance based on cooperation rather than control. "They're requesting Earth's help," Commander Thompson read from the message. "Not to rule them, but to help them remember how to develop their own technology again. They're calling us the Awakeners. Walker looked at the gathered leaders. We never wanted their empire, he said, but maybe we can help build something better. A galaxy where every species can grow in its own way, where diversity is strength, not weakness. Dr. Miller brought up plans for a new project. We can share our adaptive technology as a foundation, show them how to make it their own, modify it to fit their unique needs. Instead of one standard, we'll have thousands of innovations working together. Ambassador Marcus smiled, looking more relaxed than he had since arriving on Earth. The Empire called Earth primitive because you were different from each other. They never understood that those differences, those contradictions, those endless arguments and competitions, they drove you to evolve, to adapt, to grow. As they watched more systems declare independence, Earth began preparing for its new role. Not as rulers or conquerors, but as teachers, showing a standardized galaxy how to embrace change, evolution, and the power of being different. The Empire had wanted to add Earth to its collection of identical worlds. Instead, Earth had reminded the galaxy how to be unique. 1 year after Earth's historic stand against the Empire, the solar system had become unrecognizable. Ships from 100 different species filled Earth's orbit, each one unique in design and function. Where once the Empire's identical vessels had threatened invasion, now a rainbow of technological diversity filled the sky. Admiral Walker stood at the podium in the newly constructed Galactic Cooperation Center, addressing representatives from over 300 formerly subjugated worlds. The massive chamber, built with contributions from every participating species, showcased the best of what the galaxy could achieve when working together while maintaining their unique identities. 1 year ago, we faced a choice, Walker began. Submit to standardization or fight for our right to be different. Today, we face a new choice, not how to fight an empire, but how to build something better. Dr. Miller sat among the delegates, her data pad showing the latest achievements from their cooperative technology program. Species that had been forced to use identical systems for centuries were now creating innovations that would have been impossible under Empire rule. Look at these readings, she whispered to Commander Thompson, displaying a hologram of new hybrid technologies. The Centauri crystals combined with Earth's quantum computing. We're achieving things the Empire never dreamed possible. Former Ambassador Marcus, now representing his own free world, stood to address the gathering. The Empire taught us that strength came from being the same, he said, his voice carrying new confidence. Earth showed us that true strength comes from being different, from adapting, from growing. We didn't just gain freedom, we regained our ability to evolve. The main screen displayed images from across the galaxy. Empire shipyards, once producing endless copies of the same vessels, now created unique designs for each species. Research centers developed new technologies based on each world's special characteristics. The galaxy was awakening from centuries of technological slumber. Our greatest victory wasn't military, General Stone noted, watching the displays. It was showing the galaxy another way to live. Every species now has the chance to develop according to their own nature. An alert chimed through the chamber. Another former Empire world declaring independence. But this time it was different. The Empire's own capital had voted to dissolve the old system entirely. The last holdouts of the standardized regime had finally accepted that their time was over. We're receiving a transmission from the former Empire core worlds, Commander Thompson announced. They're requesting to join the Galactic Cooperation Initiative, not as leaders, but as equals. Dr. Miller pulled up the latest statistics on her screen. Look at these advancement rates, she said, showing the data to Walker. Species are progressing faster than ever before, each in their own way. Some focus on biological technology, others on energy manipulation, quantum mechanics, or paths we hadn't even imagined. The chamber erupted in discussion as representatives shared their latest discoveries. Ideas flowed freely, each innovation sparking new possibilities. Earth's adaptive technology had provided the foundation, but every species was building something uniquely their own. "This is what we fought for," Walker said, watching the enthusiastic exchange of ideas. "Not just Earth's freedom, but everyone's right to find their own path forward." Ambassador Marcus approached him with news from the outer regions. "The last Empire loyalist fleet has stood down," he reported. "They're requesting permission to study Earth's philosophy of technological development. They finally understand that copying without innovation leads nowhere." As the session ended, Walker and his team stood at the observation deck, watching ships from across the galaxy moving through space. Each vessel represented a different approach to technology, a different way of solving problems, a different path to the future. "You know what the Empire never understood?" Dr. Miller asked, looking at the spectacular display of diverse technologies. "They thought making everything the same made them strong. But the universe itself thrives on diversity. Evolution, adaptation, change. These are the fundamental laws of existence." Commander Thompson smiled. "And now the galaxy is evolving again, each species contributing something unique to our shared future." Earth had done more than resist an empire. It had awakened a galaxy to the power of being different, the strength of diversity, and the endless possibilities that come from letting each civilization find its own way forward. The Empire had wanted a galaxy of perfect order. Instead, they got something far more powerful, a galaxy alive with innovation, adaptation, and the unlimited potential of billions of minds.